I've been out of work since October of 2008, and I've had quite a few family members, come to me with the proposal that I go out and get supplemental security income, also known as SSI. Now, SSI is a program which was designed for people with mental and physical disabilities. Now, I'm a guy who has, even in spite of having a brain aneurysm at the age of 7 years old, I've gone on to graduate from college at the top of his class. I graduated with 3.95 GPA, and I have gone on to write all of these books here in the back, plus all of these books right here. So I have written all of these books. So it's clear to me that I don't have any sort of mental disability, nor do I have any sort of physical handicap. So I do not need any sort of government assistance. However, I have family members who think because I have a hard time finding work that I have some sort of mental disability or something wrong with me that prevents me from maintaining full time employment. Now, I don't know what's going on out here with the job market or what I am presenting to people, but I know that from a skills standpoint, a man who can write, close to 50 books, and will be 50 next year. There has to be that has to be a really intelligent person, and a person who can not only write those 50 books, but publish this many books. You know, it says something about their work ethic. I mean, for me to publish this many books since 2009, that says something about how dedicated and committed I am to my craft of publishing. And for me to write in numerous subjects and talk about numerous subjects like African American sororities, the goth subculture, to write books in crafts like screenwriting, and to write books in genres like African American fantasy fiction, and you know that says something about my work ethic and the rain and the work that I do, my talents and my skills. And for me to be able to manage a publishing company to the point where I can go out and hire artists to design covers like this, that also says something towards my mental competency. But I have family members again who think that I should go out and get some sort of government assistance because I have some sort of mental health issue. Now I don't have now I have some anxiety issues, and I have some shyness, but I do not have severe mental health issues. Again, if you look at my work record, I mean, college educated man, you know, with a degree in business, um, started his own publishing company in 2009 when he saw that um, mainstream publishers were just not going to pick up African American fiction. Um, a guy who, before that in 2002, published two other books with print on demand companies, but then decided, later on to go again, start his own publishing company. That says that I have, the ability to do something. And the sad part is that many employers, in spite of me writing all of these books, publishing all of these books, marketing all of these books, still don't see me as a valuable asset to their organization. And that's really sad that they cannot, see the the work that I have produced, and they don't see a value in it. And I look at that, and it just really saddens me that I can go out here and do all this stuff for myself, and people just don't see a value in it. But I have to go somewhere, to some white corporation to get people to see a value in something, and that's really sad. I find that to be the saddest thing of all because that's the way a lot of people in my family think that if you're not working for someone else, you don't have a value as a person. Now I see a value, more so in somebody working for themselves because they're showing their passion and their heart and their commitment to something. I mean, when I look at all these books I've written, again, to take the time to write one of these, it takes a lot of passion and commitment. I mean, some of these books, like this one right here, this book took close to 5 years for me to write, and this one took over 2 years for me to refine. and get to the point where I thought it was good. And this was a screenplay book at that. So I had to learn a whole new technique of writing in order to produce this book. So I chose, real commitment. But some people will say, unless you have multiple college degrees from Cocoa Puff University or some institution, you have no real skills or you have no real commitment. And I know, that to be a lie because I've been on the college campus with people who have shown that they have no commitment to anything and they're just, you know, passing through, wasting their just biding their time and just waiting to get another degree so they can go on a job to do the same amount of nothing that they did in the classroom. But this person is considered valuable by your, mainstream corporate America, whereas a guy like me who does things on his own, goes out and takes the initiative, is not considered, a valuable person or an asset to an organization. And I'm the kind of guy that people they sit there and talk about, this is the kind of guy that should be go out here and apply for SSI, because it seems like he has some sort of disability, seems like he has some sort of mental issue, or there is something wrong because no one will hire him. But I look at it and I go, the reason why I think a lot of these people don't want to hire me is because I think many of them, in many cases, are afraid, and they're afraid, that I may actually come on the job and actually, do things that they don't expect. See, what a lot of people want is they want somebody who's going to be safe and easy, but you can't grow anything with a safe, easy guy who fits all of your criteria. All you're going to get, is what you put in. With a person who is willing to try things and willing to do different things and is willing to learn like I am, because I was willing to learn different skills like screenwriting and nonfiction. I learned all those skills over the last 6 or 7 years, even though I was out of work, and I learned computer repair in that time, and I got over like a 840 on an A+ certification. So I can go out here and learn different things, and I do learn different things, but a lot of employers, they're so afraid, of taking a risk that they wind up, as I believe, missing out. But I've run into family members again who say, you should go out here and go try to get some sort of government assistance or get some government check. And I say to that, for me, that's like saying I'm giving up. I'm saying I'm a failure, that I have, fallen on the sword, and I refuse to do that. For me, I look at it as, I have to keep persevering and keep pushing because this is where people wanted to put me, ever since I was a kid when I did have that brain aneurysm. They wanted to put me into a special ed. They wanted to say that I was a slow kid. They wanted to say that, he's stupid. He doesn't know anything. And over the last, 30 some odd years, I have been trying to prove to people that I am just as smart as anyone else and I am just as capable as anyone else. And this is why I've gone out here, and been at the top of my class in my high school where I was on the honor roll, and I was on the president's list in college, and I went out here, and wrote 50 books and, wrote in numerous subjects because I feel that, when you go out here and just take a government check, that's just like saying, I give up. I I'm just gonna just give up, sit over here and be what people expect me to be instead of being the person that I actually am. And what I'm trying to show people, through all of my work is the person that I actually am. This is something that a lot of people, don't want to see, but what I'm seeing, what I'm learning is that, what you don't want to see it, but this is the truth, and this is what I've learned about cognitive distortion. People, you can present them with information and facts regarding someone's personality, somebody's character, but because they do not fit a certain narrative or a certain viewpoint that the world wants to tell about someone, they'll go out and, disregard that person, disregard their information, disregard what they're presenting to them, and go with whatever fits into the box of the stereotypes that they were, grew up with and were conditioned with. And this is one of the struggles that I have, every day of my life. I have the people who just want me to remain in this box where I, play the handicapped victim, and I refuse to put myself in that box. I refuse to have myself, lower myself to that level when I know that I can do better and I can accomplish better. I mean, if I can do this for myself, you know, I wonder what I could have done on a job. I mean, if I can go out and publish 50 books with a shoestring budget while I'm unemployed, imagine what I could have done with $1 million budget or, a $2 or $3 million budget. Imagine, what I could have done for somebody else what I'm doing right now for myself. If I had the money, I could go out and do things. I've proven that, if I can get the money, I can do things. Because just this year when I was able to raise the funds for the Kickstarter, I was able to put two great covers on the two books you see back here for the ISIS and East Team crossover from the professional artist Bill Walko. I was able to do that, and I was able to manage that project and see it all the way through. I mean, again, it proves that I have, ability, not only, professional ability, but intangible skills like time management, organization, planning, and, the ability to go out here and see a project from start to finish. I mean, that's what all these publications show, that I can go out here and see a project from start to finish. This is something that many managers, would value in an organization from an employee. This is what top executives, I believe, would value from an employee: the ability to see projects from start to finish and get them out on time, get them and maintain a schedule like I have with the SJS Direct imprint. I mean, in 2013, I published 13 books. Many publishing houses don't publish that many books in a year, but I was able to publish, 13 books and do it on a schedule. And this year I was able to publish, at least 5 or 6 books on a schedule. And I've been doing that, since 2011 when I published, you know, 2 books in a row. And that was a goal that I set, was to publish 2 books in a row. I wanted to, really show that I was really serious about publishing and, learning more about the craft. And that's what I did that year. I went out and I said, I'm not just going to publish one book, because in 2009, 2010, I published 1 book. So I said, next year, I'm going to publish 2 books. But, most people don't want to see, that level of, dedication and commitment that way. That everything has to, fit a certain narrative, fit a certain box. And if you don't fit into the box that Pete the White Liberal really wants you to fit in, and many of these employers want you to fit in, then they don't consider you qualified for employment, and they don't consider you, a valuable employee or an asset to an organization. Now, in addition to those skills of publishing all these books, I have also been working on eBay. So I have had, doing a lot of different things. And the eBay transactions, I've gotten mostly positive feedback. People have been happy because, I ship everything quickly. Everything is packed very nicely. I've done sales, not only in the U.S., but I've done foreign sales. And the same thing with the books. I've done U.S. and foreign sales. And people, they don't want to see the value in the work that I have been doing over the last couple of years. And instead, they want to find ways, to devalue it and say, you know what, you just need to go get you a government program. Now, I'm looking, to build this publishing imprint and, take it to the next level. That's one of the things I want to do. And I can only do that, with people's help, if people, will give me a chance to do things, because this is the type of work that I can do for an employer. And a lot of employers say, you do good work when you're at the job, but the sad part is, it's been hard for me to retain jobs because, I just run into bad situations like I did with the city college, at their library, where this guy accused me of sleeping at the desk when I was actually looking down. Or I go on to run into something like I did with AmeriCorps, where the guy decides he wants to go hire his friend. And instead of them, seeing the value in a talented employee, they just decide to go and, go and be really unprofessional about things. And that's one of the things that's really given me a hard time in the job market. That, and I have run into racism. I've run into all sorts of other things, but it does not mean that I'm not competent and capable of performing the tasks at hand on these jobs. When I go on these jobs, I often do the same type of high quality work that I do whenever I publish one of these books. I do high quality work, but you run into people who don't want to value high quality work because it does not come from someone who does not fit the narrative that they want to fit. And because I don't fit the narrative that they want to fit about, I believe, about black men, a lot of times it's been hard for me to even get in the door some places or even to get interviews for some places. And that's always been, the major obstacle for me. Now, I have heard from people saying, oh, you can go get more skills or, go get another degree. But what I run into is the same obstacle, which is, just as you go get this other degree or you go and get these other skills, like I did with the A plus certification, where I scored at the top of the, top because the highest you can get is like 1,000 or so, or no, not even 1,000, 900, and I got like 840 something on both the 22601 and the 602. But when you finish, getting the degrees and stuff, here's what I get from people. People will come to me and say, well, where's your experience? Or they'll come with, what type of accomplishment or what type of things do you have? They always come at you with something else. You've spent all this time, going out here, putting in the work, making the efforts to, learn these new skills, learn this new craft, or learn these courses, and then you go to the job interview and the person comes at you with talking about what you don't have instead of valuing what you have put on the resume. Now they know what you've put on the resume, but instead here you come with something else, showing that you have no respect and no regard, for the person sitting in front of you. I mean, if you value the person sitting in front of you, you would sit there and just work with what they have. You're not going to, why am I going to ask about something you don't have and it's not on the resume? And here I'm going to, and instead of, looking at what's there. I mean, to me, that's one of been the most disrespectful things I have ever run into, in the job market. And this is something that, I try to get my family to understand, but they just don't get that, you run in, even, it doesn't matter how many skills you have, if the person does not fit the narrative that people want to see regarding, black men, you're not going to get the job. If you don't fit the view that they want, and have the values that they have, because that's what I really see it as. People are looking for somebody with a certain type of values, fits a certain type of narrative, fits a certain type of view regarding black men, then they have no regard for them. This is not only white people, but black people as well. I've run into black people with the same thing. They don't want to hear from a, qualified person. They want to hear from a qualified person who fits a certain type of story. They want to hear certain buzzwords. They want to hear from us coming from a certain type of background. They want to really, I think, want to hear those words about, being a victim, being a loser, and somebody they can, feel sorry for. And I don't want people to feel sorry for me. No, I do not. I have never wanted people to feel sorry for me. What I've always wanted was to earn people's respect and to show people, that because I value myself. I want you to value me in the same way, because I value of my work, and I value what I want to do in life, and I value myself as a person, and that's why I push, so hard. And I look at, the job market, and people, that the first thing they're looking to do is devalue everything you've done, devalue your accomplishments, and tell you that what you're producing isn't good enough, and you need to go get something else. And if you can't value what I present to you, then I look at it as, why should I work for you if you can't see what I have to offer? And I believe I have quite a bit to offer, but because you want everything to fit into a box and a certain narrative, you miss out on somebody who has a lot of great vision, a lot of great creativity, and a lot of great talent. You miss out on it because you want everything to fit a box. It often reminds me, when I go out on this job market, it reminds me so much of this black woman and her list for this good man. And the whole thing is that many of these employers, for the same reason, miss out on good employees because they have this list of ridiculous criteria where they look for, this so-called good person, and then they wind up missing out on lots and lots of great people. But it just really frustrates me, when my family comes to me with this thing about going to get SSI, because I have spent, my entire life fighting to not be a victim, or to have somebody put me, in the box of a victim. I do not want to be in a victim role because I understand, from reading and doing research and even experiencing it in my own personal life, that the victim is not a person with power. The victim is a powerless person, and the victim has to take what people give them, and instead of going out to get their own. This is why I go out to get my own, because I want to claim my personal power and I want to have control over my own life. And I do not want to, take somebody's crumbs from their table when I can go out and make my own bread and go out and fish for my own fish. I'd rather go out and, go out and get my own and have my own than, take somebody's, scraps and trimmings and then have them talk a lot of smack and tell me, all sorts of bad things about myself and that I'm not good enough. I'd rather see myself as having my own value and setting my own standards, you know, about things, rather than be having terms dictated to me. And that's why I don't want, your welfare or your SSI or any other sort of government program, because all government programs is the white liberal or any other government agency dictating terms to you on how you should live. And, it's basically a parasitic, codependent relationship where you wind up at the bottom and they wind up on top, and they're dictating the terms of life to you. You're taking their crumbs and their scraps from the table. And there's so much more out here in life that you can have if you just make a little effort. And that's what I'm trying to do right now, is make a little effort so that I can have, more, because I grew up on these government programs, as a kid. But as an adult, I want to be able to, have my own, and establish my own foundation and build my own foundation, and have things and dictate things on my terms and not follow, some other person's terms, as the government's terms, where they're telling you, here's this government check, here's this Section 8 housing, um, take these little scraps and trimmings, and you just sit here and in this government housing, just taking whatever they give you, and that's all there is. That's all there is to life. There's so much more to life than that, and that's what I'm trying to get. I mean, I know I've been out of work for quite some time, but that's what I want to do. I don't want to take somebody's leftovers. I don't want to take, you know, somebody's, crumbs from their table. I don't want people's pity. I want to be able to, go out here and be able to do for myself and, have something of my own and not be told, I have to settle for less, because that's what I believe, these government programs are. It's basically people giving up and settling for less instead of going out and trying to be the best. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.